Howdy, y'all. It's Cody from the Keepers of Nerddom. How you doing? Ahsoka episode 3 just aired 2 nights ago, and wanted to give a quick rundown to y'all about some thoughts, and also go through an article and see if I agree with them. All right. It's a 30-minute episode. That's fair to say. Now, this episode, I would say, first off, just off the bat, it is better than what we've had before, the first two episodes, because it tries to actually be Star Wars. The unfortunate thing is, I don't know that it succeeds at being Star Wars when you pay attention. I think Disbro on YouTube actually had a pretty good video. There were some issues I had with what he said, but overall, like, his critique was very spot on. Um, this is this is an interesting thing. So let's get into it. Obviously, we see some more Chopper just a little bit in this. Sabine Wren, Jedi Padawan. They say that it's been a while since she trained with Ahsoka, and it shows. Well, while her movements are okay, her performance just average to Professor Hu Yang. That's not correct, really, at all. When he's really critiquing her, other than the lightsaber, he goes, "It's not good, but it's not bad." So I guess you could say average, but really, uh, this is just kind of a ridiculous thing that when you pay attention, Professor Hu Yang, uh, he's brutally honest with her, and I think it's actually a really important note, and it is good. Um, yeah, but it looks like it holds her back when training to become a Jedi. No, what holds her back to train as a Jedi is really simple. She doesn't have the Force, and they do a little bit of a retcon in this, and by a little bit I mean it's pretty drastic when you stop to really process what's actually being said here. They're trying to say that anybody can potentially become a Force user just if they have the will to do so and are willing to put in the time, energy, and effort. Not really how it works. That the Force is in everything according to Star Wars, but not everything actually has the Force to the level that they can actually use it to do something amazingly epic. Okay, that's why it was such a rare thing, and that's why the Jedi would often take people if they discovered them as a kid, because it was rare that they had enough, in essence, from the prequels, midichlorians, to actually warrant them doing the to actually being able to do stuff that a Jedi would do with their Force powers. So, yeah, that's just a really stupid thing. Yeah, so apparently she's doing very basic Jedi training stuff with them. I'm a little bit disturbed by it, and they make this point in this article. This is the first time that Sabine ever learns about it, so I'm wondering what Ahsoka even tried to teach her before. Probably just some super basic combat forms. And for Sabine's performance good to Yang, it probably didn't last too long. Well, yeah, because she shouldn't be a Jedi. Like, that's just reality of it. That's true. Mon Mothma apparently just keeps living and never aging ever, and I appreciate that she was in the episode. It's neat to see because she interacts with Hera, and there's this interesting conversation between the senators and Hera. Hera's wanting to go see if something's real or not, and the ambassador that I guess is supposed to be, unfortunately, with where Disney's at now, the token white guy that gets beat down by this new concept of what's going on in Disney. He actually has, unfortunately, good points, and I thought it was a little strange when I was watching it, and I didn't think too hard about it, but at the same time, it is strange because he just goes, "This seems an awful lot like a wild goose chase. This doesn't seem legit, and you have no actual proof of it. How do you know that this is actually a thing that you need to go do?" And the answer is she doesn't. And there they are, right there. He's the one on the right to the right of Mon Mothma, because the people on the left talk a little bit. I don't remember. I think the senator on the far right does say one or two things, but it's not very much. But Mon Mothma is just kind of the peacemaker of it, and Hera just doesn't make a good good argument. Here, let's see what they say here. Being so passive when something dark is being put in motion is one of the reasons why the Republic fell in the first place. So that doesn't seem to concern complacent politicians like Senator Ziano. I really get why Hera was so ticked off about the entire situation. Well, yeah, I get why she'd be ticked off too, but there's no proof of what's happening. So if Mothma blindly accepts the Council of Colleagues who don't understand the threat that Thrawn represents, it's going to be too late to do anything when he eventually returns. But they don't know that he's alive. There's been no evidence, unfortunately, that Hera has presented to prove that, yes, this is actually a threat. They've got a prisoner that escaped that's... well, she hasn't even presented any of this. Like, that, obviously there's a prisoner escaped. Okay, you got that. But she has no proof of the little ball thing that has the map and where it would lead to potentially, right? It's just, there's not a whole lot here. Let's see what else they have to say. It's not how it works. The situation is dire, clear that Sabine must progress if she hopes to survive this adventure. What we've seen so far, she has little to zero capacity to wield the Force because she doesn't. She does not. This is obviously not ideal. The Force enhances the Jedi's strength, reflexes, speed, agility, and other abilities depending on the individual. I don't think there's a record of a Jedi who's barely capable of using the Force, because that's not a Jedi. That's just a normal person in the Star Wars universe. If Sabine isn't capable of using it, then she's at a massive disadvantage. We compare her to Shin Hati. Sure, her Mandalorian skills can come in handy in certain situations, but being a Jedi is more than just fighting with a lightsaber. I'm guessing Shin Hati is the girl that's one of the dark Jedis. This whole thing where they're saying that even Sabine asks if there's a way to speed things up. Well, that should have been it right there. Ahsoka just go, no, you cannot become a Jedi. What I'm going to teach you is ways to defend yourself, and then you got to figure stuff out through the Mandalorian concepts, because it's not going to work. It just won't, because of what she is. During this episode 2, this is the thing I think we need to touch base about, right? We've got this ship. Let's see if they have a picture of it. Yep, Hu Yang, there it is. That's the dumbest part of the whole show. Sorry, I'm kind of skipping through this article, but in this episode, after the training montages, which are cool to see, but then when you've got the reality of she's not a Force wielder, she shouldn't be trained. We should just move on. We get this interesting thing where they come out of hyperspace, they get attacked by fighters, and it's super strange because Desper is very right with this too. And I noticed it, and it was really weird. These fighters, they look an awful lot like a single prop plane from World War II. They fire and fire and fire and hit and hit and hit, and there's very little to no reaction on the ship of any shuddering or anything wrong. It's like nothing's happening, and nobody seems to be panicked at all. The fact that there's 6 fighters, that should take out a ship like this really easily, and nothing's happening. They're not even shuddering when they get hit by the blaster bolts. They barely start shuddering once they actually get hit by the big turbo lasers. It's super weird. There is nothing, because I'd heard people say that there was no sense of danger, even once Hu Yang or one of them says the shields are down to 10%. It's like, really? You haven't acted like there's anything going on with your shields, and if it took that long to take your shields down to 10%, what is on this ship? This ship is crazy compared to what it should be. This is like a super ship. But anyway, that's not even the dumb scene of the episode, because, and Disbro, this is where he was wrong, and I think it's an interesting point. Like, why not just turn off your engines and just stop and fire? This is one thing that Star Wars gets wrong all the time, and unfortunately, because of that, Disbro thinks that's how it works, and it should never be the case. If they were to just turn off their engines without reverse engines, what happens in space? Any other show, you should keep moving, because there's still energy behind you, and there's no friction in space. And in this show, you get hit, like even Ahsoka's ship finally gets hit by the turbo lasers. And I will say, I don't think Disbro is correct that it wasn't being hit by the turbo lasers. It was being hit, actually, and it was the shields that were taking it. But in Star Wars, shields are weird, and you don't see anything. And it's derpy like that sometimes, and then other times you might see something. It's just weird. It's like Star Trek actually would show some sort of effect half the time, or most of the time, which I appreciate, because then you at least have something visual that's coming up to show you that something's going on. But yeah, those fighters aren't just going to stop in space unless you see some sort of engine reversal, and it didn't look like they had anything that would do that, right? That would cause that. And then you get to the weirdest, silliest, dumbest scene I've ever seen in my life. And again, Disbro hits on this too, and I think it's really important. Um, the T6 shuttle was able to withstand multiple rounds of fire without being seriously damaged. Uh, yeah, it's so either the T6 is built like a tank or the small ships aren't built for space battles like an A-wing or TIE interceptor. Except that's exactly what they're for. So this is stupid, very stupid, stupid thing. But then Ahsoka defends the ship with her lightsabers when they could have just shot the ship. But apparently the blasters on these fighters don't do anything. It's super weird. Sorry, it's just a thing that they didn't think it through. It looks pretty decent until you stop to process it. Then after they get the ship back up and running, they go run into the Purrgil and dodge them and then land on the planet. And then we get this one last little scene of it's so silly, the other Dark Jedi, the older guy, um just being going like, go chase him out in the woods, and you're like, how did you guys not see that thing from up above? It's not that hard. How did you guys not chase this down? Your ships are faster than them. How did they make it to the ground without you seeing them? You see what I mean? Like, there's just logic pieces that don't quite work here. All right, let's see what the Easter eggs are. Republic colors. Okay, blue and white. Cool, cool, cool. Kendo. Uh, Japanese martial art whose purpose is to improve the mind and body of its practitioner. Okay, yeah, I see that. That's fair. Not bad. Jason Sindula. That's true. That was a great Easter egg. We finally got to see him, and I appreciate him. He looks way better than the cartoon, because that was the worst part of the cartoon at the end of Rebels, because you look over and you're like, ugh, that kid, something wrong with the CGI. World War II aircraft. Yep, totally. Single prop planes, like straight up, just without the. All right, and I think that was the big things. I still think Merrick is gonna end up being, it's Sam Witwer, and he's totally gonna be like Starkiller or some clone of him. Yeah. Okay, this article is so stupid, but I think it's kind of fun to go through articles like this. It says, it's always amusing to see that Filoni takes ideas from other places that aren't Star Wars media. All right, let me just say something. This is what happens when you get, who wrote this? This is what happens when somebody gets a hold of Star Wars stuff and doesn't pay attention to it. And I'm not trying to go into a ton of like Easter eggs or myself, by Adrian. Okay, well, good job, Adrian, whoever you are. Yeah, you stupid. Okay, here's the reality. Uh, okay, here's the reality with this. George Lucas took inspiration from lots of World War II stuff in his design of Star Wars and the concept. This is extremely simple stuff, and they're over here going, oh, "I'm so glad whenever Filoni takes uh, great ideas from other places." No, he's actually just doing what he should be doing all along, the very thing that George Lucas did. Oh my gosh. I swear it's like people don't pay attention to anything past 5 minutes ago. That's why we're in such a state we're in with everything in our country right now. People did not pay attention for more than 5 seconds and put on blinders and don't look at the stuff that's going on around them. This is a great idea, but you also need to understand, what are we looking at here too? This looks an awful lot like not just a World War II fighter, but also a bit of pod racing stuff for the engines on the sides, but also that looks a lot like the ship that, what is his name? Grievous was going to fly away at the end of fly away in at the end of episode, or in episode 3. So it's already got roots here multiple times, and so it works well. Um, I did find it funny that I think Jason, if memory serves, wants to really become a Jedi really bad, which is kind of interesting. They did say the green hair looked as bad as I imagined it would. I don't know that I would agree with that because they toned the green hair down a bit, which I appreciate. The Kendo is good. That's fine. Sure. I don't know if his Easter egg references were that great. David Tennant is the best part of this whole episode because he actually is telling the truth, and Ahsoka's over here going, "Let's lie to Sabine. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great." Uh, I want to see them just jump at this point to this other galaxy and run into the Yuuzhan Vong as they grab. As they grab Thrawn and hopefully Ezra, but I just I don't think this was a terrible article necessarily. It's more just a summary of it, which I appreciate. But there's some issues here, and I think Dave Filoni is not even paying attention to Star Wars as a whole either. Star Wars is in a rough spot, but I think this was the better of the 3 episodes. But when you stop to think about it, it's actually got some really, really rough spots. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below. What do you think about Star Wars Ahsoka Episode 3? It's, I think it was just better visually and story wise than the other 2 episodes, but still, when you stop to process the whole concept of what they're potentially changing with the Jedi, that anybody can potentially become it if they're willing to and put the time, energy, and effort in. No, not been a thing at all. The ship being attacked that much and still surviving like it was nothing, ridiculous. I guess also the fact that Sabine was able to fix the ship by working on a console in the front when that ship was, and Despero made a good point about this, that ship was blasted and not gonna be just moving away. Now, if she had ran down to the engine room and done some fix there, I think that would have made more sense with what's left, or even just said we can only do this because 5% power because we're literally missing half our hull. Creativity in Star Wars right now is at a low, and I'm sad by that. And unfortunately, Ahsoka is portrayed as a cocky know-it-all that doesn't know anything, and Sabine is portrayed as a cocky know-it-all that doesn't know Jack Dilly's squat. Oh, I forgot too. Apparently, Sabine, who's a Mandalorian, can't aim worth a crap. And I'm sure they're trying to point it as part of her quote-unquote Jedi training. But the ability to aim and fire, I mean, if memory serves in Rebels, she had the capability. And now in this show, she's like, I can't hit anything. It's like, well, it doesn't matter anyway. Those ships aren't doing any damage to you. And, well, whatever. Yeah, let me know down in the comments below. What do you think about Star Wars Ahsoka Episode 3? I've been Cody from Keepers of Nerdom. Take care. Bye, y'all.